After teaching DGE and GE, it's important to give our students plenty of spelling practice with words that use these graphemes. So I want to show you how I would structure that type of practice in a more guided setting. So each student is going to have a whiteboard and they're going to have these headings, DGE and GE, both of which represent the J sound at the end of words. I'm going to have a whiteboard exactly like this. The headings are going to be the same as the students' headings, but I'm also going to have these magnets which represent sounds. So I'm going to start by just saying a word like hedge. My students are going to repeat the word and then we're going to connect a meaning by using it in a sentence. And then we're going to break the word into its sound parts. So hedge, j. I'm going to say something like, this word ends in the sound j. We know that English words do not end in the letter J, so we need to decide which one we're going to use to spell the J sound. So let's listen for the sound before. Hedge, j. What sound came before J? I'm going to give my students time, and it's important they give me the sound. The sound is Then I'm going to ask, is that a vowel sound or a consonant sound? It's a vowel sound. Is it a short vowel or a long vowel? It's a short vowel. So that's going to help us decide how to spell the word. So we know this is a short vowel that came right before the J sound. So I'm going to ask my students, which way are you going to spell J for the word hedge? And they'll decide, they'll choose DGE, and then I'm going to say, please write hedge on your whiteboards. So then they're going to write the word hedge on their whiteboard under the correct column. So notice how in each steps I'm asking questions to guide them to the answer. So I'm not giving them the answer every time, but I'm also not just saying spell the word hedge. We're not there yet. The goal is to get there, but this is sort of an in-between phase where I'm scaffolding with these questions and leading them to the answer. And it's really important I provide that corrective feedback if students, either say the wrong sound before it, or if they can't remember which is which. That's my opportunity to have that teachable moment. So even though they're practicing spelling, we're still really teaching this concept through our spelling. And then of course, after we've practiced spelling lots of words this way, I'm going to add in words with suffixes. So instead of just hedge, I might say hedges, and that just makes it a little bit trickier, but I always want to add that in too. So I hope that this was a helpful video. Let me know your questions in the comments. I had a great follow-up question from my post yesterday. My post yesterday was about spelling words that end in the J sound with DGE or GE. And the question was about suffixes and how I approach spelling words with suffixes. And it opened up a lot of different things that I wanted to talk about. So first off, I'll answer just that question. When we are having students spell words with suffixes, which is really important to integrate in right away, I do want them to kind of be aware of what they're doing instead of just like spelling the word. So for example, let's say instead of just saying spell the word dodge, I say let's spell the word dodges. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify if there is a suffix in there, and there's a suffix, dodges. So I'm going to ask, what's the base word? The base word is dodge, and we're going to spell the base word first, and that's the part that we're going to match sounds to symbols. I do not match up sounds to symbol with the suffix. So you'll see I go dodge, j. And so I know I use DGE because that's a short vowel, so I've spelled the word dodge. And then I want to point out to my students that with dodges, we're actually adding ES, not just S. And you can hear it. You can hear that extra vowel sound. So two things happen. ES has a vowel sound in it, S does not, and it adds on a syllable then. So then dodges becomes a two-syllable word because that vowel makes a sound. And syllables revolve around vowel sounds. So I want to write this word some just to remind them of what we're doing. To make dodges, we're taking the word dodge and we're adding ES. And then this is what we get. And one thing that we had to do to get to here was we needed to drop that E. And during my silent E unit is when I teach the dropping rule. So this is perfect. So they're going to drop that E because you always drop an E before a vowel suffix. So this is how we get to this. And then we can erase all of it, and then I'll say, rewrite the word dodges, and then they can kind of rewrite it again. But I think in the beginning, it's really helpful to do these steps. I want them to sound out the word, but I don't want them to be sounding out suffixes, because later that kind of doesn't work out. And suffixes and prefixes, well, prefixes are better, but suffixes don't always align with sound super well. So it's more like we want them to be aware that there is a suffix